You thought that setback was the end, but it was a setup. You thought the delay meant denial, but it was divine timing. You thought they walked out and left you, but that was God clearing the room before he blessed you. Let me tell you something today. When God lifts you, no man can stop it, no devil can block it, and no lie can cancel it. There are moments in your life where it feels like the bottom has fallen out. You pray, you cry, you wonder, God, where are you? But I came to tell somebody today, he was there the whole time, working behind the curtains, lifting you in silence, preparing you in private. Because when he lifts you, it will be higher than you ever dreamed. And when it's his time, it's the right time. You won't have to force the door. You won't have to fight for the stage. God will do the lifting. And when he lifts high. You don't climb into your calling, you're called and then lifted. There comes a time in life where you have to realize this lifting, this favor, this breakthrough, it's not something you earned by striving, stressing, or proving yourself to people. It's not about how many qualifications you stacked, how many rooms you entered, or how many names you dropped. When God decides to lift you, it's not because of your resume, it's because of your readiness. And readiness in the sight of God is not about being impressive. It's about being available. It's about being faithful when no one's watching, consistent when no one's clapping, humble when no one's complimenting. See, in this world, promotion comes through politics. You rub shoulders, you shake hands, you try to position yourself. But when God promotes, he doesn't use ladders made by men. He doesn't wait for a vote. He doesn't consult opinions. When God says, I'm lifting you, he doesn't ask permission. He doesn't need consensus, because this is not a democratic process. It's divine purpose. There are people who have been striving for platforms, chasing visibility, wanting to be known, needing to be heard, but there are others who've been hidden, overlooked, underestimated, disrespected, and they've stayed faithful anyway. They kept showing up, they kept praying, they kept serving, they stayed in the secret place. And while no one saw the preparation, heaven did. While no one heard the prayers, heaven did. And now comes the time for God to say, enough hiding. It's time to lift. When God calls you, he lifts you. And the beauty of it is, no one can take credit for it. Not a mentor, not a boss, not even you. Because when he lifts you to a place you never imagined, all you can do is fall to your knees in awe and say, this had to be you. And that's how God works. He doesn't lift based on performance. He lifts based on purpose. He doesn't choose the ones with the spotlight. He chooses the ones who were willing to burn in the secret place. The ones who praised him with tears in their eyes. The ones who said yes when it hurt. The ones who didn't quit when it got quiet. And when the time is right, the lifting comes fast. The very ones who didn't see you coming will have to watch God elevate you, not to flaunt, not to boast, but to fulfill what he already wrote about you long before you were born. You were called for this, not because you were qualified, but because he chose you. And what God starts, no man can stop. Before the lifting comes the breaking. You can't walk in real elevation until you've survived real breaking. God does not lift what has not first been surrendered, and he does not exalt. Before there is glory, there is groaning. Before there is joy, there is pain. Before the crown, there is the crushing. You may see someone standing tall now, but if you could see what they went through in private, the nights they cried, the seasons they were stripped, the moments they felt forgotten, you would understand that their lifting came through a road paved with brokenness. Breaking is not punishment. It's preparation. It's the process of being emptied before you can be filled. It's where your pride is shattered, your ego is dismantled, your plans are interrupted, and your strength is exhausted. And in that place where you run out of you is where God begins to pour in him. It's the holy exchange. Less of you, more of him. And only the broken can carry that kind of glory. When you go through the breaking, It feels like everything is falling apart. People walk away, doors close, prayers go unanswered. You start asking questions like, why me, or where is the promise? But what you don't see is that while everything looks like it's collapsing, God is actually constructing something new in the spirit. He is breaking the outer shell so that the oil inside can flow. Because oil doesn't come without crushing. The olive must be pressed, the seed must be buried, the vessel must be emptied. That's how he prepares you for lifting. Some of the most powerful people are the ones who have been broken the deepest. They don't talk with arrogance. They speak with authority, not because they studied, but because they suffered. Not because they climbed high, but because they fell low. They're not impressed by applause because they know what it's like to worship with no sound. They're not addicted to titles because they remember when they had none. They don't chase platforms because they found God in the valley before the mountain. The breaking strips away what can't go with you into the next level. You can't carry the weight of the future with the baggage of the past. God will use the breaking to release you from attachments, from relationships, from ideas, from identities that no longer serve the purpose he has for you. And while you're crying over what you lost, heaven is rejoicing over what you're becoming. So don't despise your breaking. Don't curse your process. Don't rush your restoration. There is power in your pain. There is purpose in your pruning. And there is glory after your groaning. When God is breaking you, he is not destroying you. He is refining you. He is making you into a vessel that can hold what's coming. He is shaping you for something greater than you imagine. You may not see the lifting yet, but trust the hands that are breaking you now, because the same hands that allowed the breaking are the hands that will bring the blessing. And when the lifting comes, you'll realize it wasn't the stage that made you strong. It was the breaking. It was the fire. It was the valley. That's where the foundation was laid. That's where the strength was born. That's where you learn to lean, to trust, to believe. Not in yourself, but in the one who carried you through it all. And when you're finally lifted, you'll know. You didn't get there because of your gift. You got there because you survived the breaking. God hides you before he elevates you. There is a divine silence that often surrounds the ones he has chosen. You look around and see others moving, rising, being seen, being celebrated. But you tucked away. You're in the shadows. Your prayers are deep. Your heart is surrendered. Your spirit is ready. But nothing around you seems to reflect what you know God has placed within you. And you start to wonder, why does it feel like I'm invisible? The answer is this: God hides what he values. Before he reveals, he conceals. Before he puts you on display, he puts you through development. Because anything that is exposed too early can be destroyed too easily. Elevation without preparation becomes devastation. So in his mercy, in his wisdom, in his perfect knowledge of you, he hides you. He hides you in seasons where it seems like no one sees you. Your talents go unnoticed. Your ideas are passed over. Your faithfulness is ignored. You're not the one being invited. You're not the one being chosen. And while the flesh wrestles with rejection, your spirit needs to know this is protection. You are being kept, covered, and carved in the secret place. He is forming something in you that cannot be rushed. He is building a depth in your soul that will carry the weight of the glory he intends to rest on your life. God doesn't just elevate ability, he elevates character. And character isn't proven in the spotlight, it's refined in the secret place. When no one is watching, will you still pray? When no one is clapping, will you still serve? When there's no platform, will you still praise? That's what he's watching. That's what he's working on. Not your performance, your posture, not your skills, your surrender, not your charisma, your consistency. And while you feel hidden, hidden does not mean forsaken. Hidden means protected. Hidden means preserved. Hidden means not yet. You're not being overlooked. You're being overshadowed by his hand, by his grace, by his purpose. You're not late. You're being made. You're not stagnant, you're being sanctified. When he hides you, it's not just about what he's doing in you, it's also about what he's doing around you. Sometimes the atmosphere isn't ready for your arrival. Sometimes the hearts of the people who will walk with you haven't yet been aligned. Sometimes the doors he wants to open for you aren't built yet. So he says, wait, rest, stay low, stay quiet. I'm not finished yet. There's power in being hidden. There's intimacy there. There's revelation there. There's maturity being developed. Because when you've been hidden by God, you come out with a different kind of strength, a quiet strength, a steady strength. You're not moved by applause because you learned to hear his whisper. You're not shaken by criticism because you've already been approved in the secret place. You don't chase platforms because you've already encountered purpose in the hidden room. And then suddenly, it shifts. The same ones who never noticed you now want to know you. The same rooms that were closed begin to open. The same voice that whispered, wait, now declares, go. And the world will see what heaven already knew, that what God was forming and hiding is now ready to shine. But you'll walk differently. You'll carry it differently because you'll know that before God lifted you, he hid you. And that hiding was the birthplace of everything he's about to reveal through you. Delay does not mean denial. There are times in life when everything seems to come to a halt. You pray, you fast, you obey, you trust, but nothing moves. Doors stay shut. Opportunities seem distant. Promises feel like they're just hanging in the air, unfulfilled. And in that stillness, in that quiet, doubt tries to creep in. The enemy begins to whisper, maybe it's not for you, maybe it's never coming, maybe you missed it. But let this truth settle deep in your spirit. When God delays something, it's never to deny you. It's to prepare you. It's to protect you. It's to position you for something greater than you even asked for. We often confuse silence with absence. We think that because we can't see the movement, there is none. But God does his best work in the unseen. Seeds don't grow on the surface. They grow underground, in the dark, in the hidden places where roots are forming. Structure is being built, and strength is being developed. Just because you can't see the growth doesn't mean it isn't happening. The delay is where your roots are being anchored. The delay is where your character is being forged. The delay is where the foundation is being laid, so the blessing doesn't collapse when it finally arrives. Sometimes God delays because what you're asking for is too small. You're praying for a door, but he's building you a house. You're asking for a chance, but he's preparing you for a calling. You're chasing position, but he's trying to give you purpose. So he waits, not because he wants to withhold, but because he wants to give you more than you imagine. If he gave it to you too soon, it would break you. But when the time is right, what he gives will bless you and not burden you. The delay teaches you to trust. It teaches you to depend. It strips away your timelines, your expectations, your conditions. It brings you to the place where you stop asking when and start saying whatever you want whenever you say, I'll wait. That's where real trust is born. Not when things happen quickly, but when you keep believing in the middle of the wait. When your faith doesn't expire just because the clock is ticking. When your hope stays alive even when the evidence says otherwise. And it's in the delay that your heart is revealed. Will you serve when there's no reward? Will you praise when there's no progress? Will you stay faithful when it feels like nothing is moving? That's when heaven takes notice. Because anyone can believe when it's fast, but only the deeply rooted can stand firm when it's slow. Only the surrendered can stay still when God says not yet. He is not a God who forgets. He is not a God who overlooks. Everything he has spoken over you is still active. Every promise he whispered in your spirit is still alive. Just because it hasn't happened yet doesn't mean it won't. What feels like a delay to you is right on schedule in the eyes of heaven. His timing is not like yours. He doesn't rush. He's never early, but he's never late. He arrives in fullness with perfection at the exact moment when you're ready to carry what he's bringing. So don't let the delay cause you to give up. Don't let the waiting room turn into a graveyard for your hope. Stand. Stay faithful. Keep building. Keep believing. Because the delay is not the end of the story. It's a chapter. It's a process. It's a season. And seasons change. And when the moment comes, when the delay breaks and the answer arrives, you'll realize that what felt like waiting was really working. You'll see how every minute of silence was filled with divine orchestration. You'll see how every closed door was guiding you to the right one. And you'll testify with full confidence that the delay didn't destroy you, it shaped you. It didn't hold you back, it launched you forward. It didn't mean denial, it meant destiny. Rejection is often redirection. There are few pains more personal than being rejected. Whether it's people walking away, doors closing, opportunities vanishing, or dreams shattering, rejection hits deep. It doesn't just attack your plans, it hits your identity. It makes you question your worth. It makes you wonder, what did I do wrong? Why wasn't I chosen? Why didn't it work out? But if you look a little deeper, if you press past the sting, you will see that sometimes what feels like rejection is actually divine redirect. It's not that you weren't good enough, it's that God has something better, something purer, something more aligned with who He's shaping you to become. There are places you wanted to go that would have compromised your calling. There are people you wanted to stay that would have weakened your purpose. There are situations you were ready to walk into, but they were traps disguised as blessings. And in His mercy and His protection, God said no. He let them turn away. He let the door close. He let the deal fall through. Not because you weren't capable, not because you weren't ready, but because what you were reaching for wasn't where you were meant to be. Rejection can be a strange gift. It's a painful blessing that doesn't feel like a blessing in the moment, but time reveals what emotions cannot. Looking back, you begin to see that what you thought was lost was actually love in disguise. That no was a shield. That silence was safety. That closed door saved you from disaster. What you cried over was actually God's kindness. And while you were busy mourning what you didn't get, heaven was rejoicing over what you didn't settle for. See, we often think that open doors equal favor, but sometimes favor looks like a locked gate. Sometimes favor is being denied entry so that your spirit doesn't get tied to a place that was never your home. Sometimes the path you wanted would have taken you in circles, wasted your energy, drained your hope, and delayed your destiny. So God reroutes you, not because you're lost, but because He's leading you to something more accurate, something more powerful, something more lasting. And when you've been through enough rejection, you begin to walk with a different kind of confidence. Not the kind that comes from being approved by people, but the kind that comes from being preserved by God. You stop seeing rejection as failure and start seeing it as direction. You no longer crave every open door because you've learned that not all of them lead to life. You no longer panic when people walk away because you've seen how God brings the right ones after the wrong ones leave. You don't break when plans fall apart, because you know that your life is in the hands of a God who sees the end from the beginning. And in that awareness, peace begins to grow. Peace that isn't shaken by no, peace that isn't rattled by closed opportunities, peace that can stand in an empty room and still trust that what's next is better than what was lost. Because the truth is, you were never rejected, you were redirected. Redirected to higher ground, redirected to deeper purpose, redirected to greater alignment with the reason you were created. So the next time rejection comes, don't collapse. Don't curse the moment. Don't beg for the door to reopen. Thank Him, praise Him, trust Him. Because if He allowed it to fall apart, He has something stronger to give. If He let them leave, He's making room for someone better to enter. If He blocked your path, He's about to guide your steps to a place that will make you say, now I understand. Now I see why it couldn't be that. Now I know it had to be Him. Rejection doesn't mean you've lost your place. It means you're being moved into the right one. Let it go and let Him lead. He never removes without replacing, and He never redirects without purpose. Elevation often begins with humiliation. There is a sacred mystery in the way God works. He doesn't always lift you when you feel strong. He often lifts you after you've been broken down, stripped bare, and brought low, because before he takes you up, he humbles you down. Not to destroy you, but to prepare you. Not to shame you, but to shape you. You cannot rise rightly until you've bowed deeply. You cannot carry glory until you've laid down pride. And so often, before the lifting comes, the season of humiliation. This is the season where nothing goes as planned. The people you trusted betray you. The things you were confident in collapse beneath you. Your image, your titles, your status. None of it can protect you from the humbling hand of God. He removes the crutches. He allows the mask to fall. He strips the layers until it's just you and him, raw, real, and exposed, because what he's about to build in you cannot sit on shallow soil. It must be planted in humility. Humiliation is not about embarrassment, it's about emptying. It's the process of learning that you're not the source of your strength, you're not the author of your story, and you're not the one holding your future together. It's a place where your ego is dismantled, your self-reliance is confronted, and your dependence shifts entirely to the one who truly sustains you. In that valley, in that low place, God begins to rewire your heart. He shifts your vision. He redefines what success means to you. He tears down every idol, every illusion, every false identity you tried to wear. And while others might look at you and say you've fallen, heaven is saying you're finally ready. Because you're no longer trying to climb with your own hands. You're learning to kneel with your whole heart. You're no longer trying to impress crowds. You're trying to please God. You're no longer obsessed with being seen. You're consumed with being faithful. It is in humiliation that God teaches you compassion. It's hard to be proud when you've been publicly broken. It's hard to judge others when you know what it's like to be judged. When you've sat in the seat of the humbled, you begin to treat others differently. You speak softer, you forgive quicker, you love deeper, because you understand what it means to need mercy. And then when the season shifts, when God decides it's time to lift you, you rise, but differently. You rise slowly. You rise with scars. You rise with wisdom. You rise with a limp that reminds you of your wrestle. You don't rise to brag, you rise to bless. You don't rise to dominate, you rise to serve. You don't rise to be worshiped, you rise to worship, because you remember where he found you. You remember how low you were. You remember the tears, the pain, the nights you couldn't breathe. And you know, this lifting isn't about your brilliance, it's about his grace. It's not because of what you did, it's in spite of what you lacked. You were humiliated, but not abandoned. You were stripped, but not destroyed. You were reduced, but only so that you could be rebuilt the right way. This is the pattern of divine elevation. You go down so you can go up. You lose everything so you can gain what truly matters. You're emptied so he can fill you with something eternal. And in the end, when people look at your life and wonder how you rose, you'll point to the valley. You'll point to the crushing. You'll point to the place of humiliation and say, that's where the lifting began, because God doesn't lift those who exalt themselves. He lifts the lowly. He raises the humble. He exalts the ones who chose surrender over striving. And that kind of elevation, the kind that follows humiliation, is the kind no man can take from you. Not everyone can go with you to the next level. As God begins to lift you, as he begins to expand your territory, open doors, and elevate your life, one of the hardest truths to accept is that some people who started with you won't finish with you. Hey, some voices that cheered you in the last season will turn silent, or worse, sour in the next. Some relationships, though once necessary, will no longer be aligned with where you're going. It's not about arrogance. It's not about thinking you're better than anyone else. It's about recognizing divine separation. It's about understanding that destiny has weight And not everyone is built to carry it beside you. You may try to take everyone with you out of loyalty, out of love, out of fear of walking alone. But if you're not careful, you'll drag people into spaces they're not called to. And when people enter rooms they weren't prepared for, they don't just struggle, they start sabotaging. Not always intentionally, not always out of malice, but simply because what God is doing in you doesn't make sense to them. They can't understand the call. They don't carry the burden. They don't see the vision. And eventually, the weight of that misalignment will wear you down. Sometimes the ones you thought would be your forever people were only meant for a chapter. God brought them into your life for a reason or a season or a lesson, but not for the entire journey. And it hurts because the heart gets attached. Memories were made, trust was built. But when God starts calling you higher, He doesn't consult your comfort zone. He starts removing what you didn't have the strength to let go of. He starts shifting the atmosphere. He starts disconnecting you from what's familiar so you can step into what's next. And if you don't understand this, you'll misread the silence. You'll grieve the wrong things. You'll chase what He's trying to cut. You'll fight to keep what heaven is trying to release. You'll pray for restoration in a place where God is trying to make room. And your elevation will be delayed not because He isn't ready, but because you're still holding on to someone He told you to release. Letting go isn't easy. It requires trust. It requires discernment. It requires maturity to say, I love you, but I can't stay where we were. I'm being called to more. And if you can't walk with me in that, I bless you, but I have to keep moving. It takes courage to walk alone when necessary, to silence the noise and to embrace solitude if that's what the next level demands. God will always give you the right people for the right seasons. You don't have to cling to the wrong ones out of fear. The next level comes with next level relationships. People who don't compete with you, they compliment you. People who don't drain you, they cover you. People who don't question your growth, they help cultivate it. These are people who aren't intimidated by your elevation because they know their identity. They're not jealous of your favor. They rejoice in it. They don't pull you backward, they push you forward. That's how you know it's divine alignment. And sometimes the first step to going higher is traveling lighter, letting go of weight that looked like friendship but became a chain, releasing connections that used to pour into you but now only pull from you, closing doors, not in bitterness but in obedience. Because what's waiting ahead is too costly to miss over misplaced loyalty. When you look back, you'll see the wisdom in every separation. You'll thank God for every closed circle, every silent goodbye, every unexplained shift. Because now you realize they weren't removed to punish you. They were released to protect you. The higher you go, the clearer your vision becomes. And some faces were only meant to walk with you to the base of the mountain, but not to the summit. The summit has its own company, its own conversations, its own atmosphere. So let them go. Not in anger, not in fear, but in faith. If God is calling you higher, trust that He's also preparing those who are truly assigned to walk with you in that place. Destiny has requirements, and one of them is the courage to say, not everyone can go. There is purpose in every struggle. It's easy to question God's intentions when life feels hard, when things aren't going according to plan, when everything you thought you were building begins to crumble. It's tempting to think that God is distant, indifferent, or even uncaring. But what if I told you that there's purpose in every struggle, that every painful moment, every battle, every trial, and every heartache is part of the divine plan being unfolded in your life? It may not feel like it at the time, but God doesn't waste a single tear. Every moment of hardship is shaping you, refining you, and preparing you for the destiny He has prepared. Struggle doesn't mean you're out of God's will. In fact, it often means you are right where you need to be. We tend to think that if we're in the will of God, everything should go smoothly. We expect blessings to flow effortlessly. doors to swing open without resistance, and life to be easy. But the Bible tells us that God refines us like gold in fire. He doesn't make you gold by keeping you in the comfort of the furnace. He makes you gold by putting you through the fire. It's the heat, the pressure, and the refinement that bring out your true value. Your struggle is not evidence of God's absence, it's evidence of His work. It's easy to trust God when everything is going right, when the path is clear, when the doors open effortlessly. But real faith is built in the struggle. It's built in the moments when there's no clear answer, when your prayers feel unanswered, and when you're left wondering if God even sees you. But know this, He sees you. He knows every tear. He knows every pain. And every moment of hardship is serving a greater purpose that you may not see now, but you will understand later. It's in the struggle that your character is built. It's in the struggle that your faith is deepened. It's in the struggle that your trust is tested and refined. When life is easy, we don't grow. We don't learn to rely on God. We don't learn patience. And we don't learn perseverance. It's only when things are difficult that we are forced to stretch beyond what we know and lean into God like never before. Your struggle is not pointless. It's not a random series of unfortunate events. God uses your struggles to shape you into the person you need to be. It's in the struggle that you develop resilience. It's in the struggle that you learn to hold on to hope when everything seems hopeless. It's in the struggle that you discover new depths of strength you never knew you had. And it's in the struggle that you come to understand that God is not just a God of deliverance. He's a God of transformation. If you want to be used by God, you need to be willing to be molded by God. And molding is not always gentle. It's not always comfortable. It can be painful. But the beauty of it is that God doesn't just leave you in the struggle. He walks with you through it. He doesn't leave you to face the fire alone. He stands beside you. He carries you when you can't walk, and He strengthens you when you feel like giving up. And there's something powerful that happens in the struggle. When you come through it, you come through as someone stronger, wiser, and more grounded in your faith. When you come through the storm, you come through with a deeper understanding of who God is. You come through knowing that He is faithful, that He is good, and that His promises are true. You come through with a testimony that can speak to others who are walking through their own struggles. The struggle is not the end of the story. It's the beginning of your testimony. It's the foundation for everything that God is about to do in your life. And when you reach the other side, you'll look back and see that God used every moment to prepare you for something greater. The struggle that you thought would break you will be the very thing that elevates you. So don't despise the struggle. Don't run from it. Don't wish it away. Instead, embrace it. Trust that God is with you in the midst of it. Allow Him to use it to refine you, to strengthen you, and to prepare you for the blessings that are coming. Your struggle is not in vain. God is using it to make you more like Him, to build your faith, and to bring you closer to the future He has designed for you. Keep moving forward. The struggle is just the process. The purpose is in what God is making you into. The higher you go, the more you'll have to fight for. We often think that when God starts to bless us, when He begins to elevate us, that everything will become easier. We imagine that success, promotion, and favor will bring peace and smooth paths. But the truth is, the higher you go, the greater the opposition becomes. The higher the calling, the harder the battles. The more you begin to step into your destiny, the more the enemy will try to stop you. And it's not because you're doing something wrong, it's because you're doing something right. You're stepping into the territory the enemy never wanted you to reach. You're claiming ground he thought he had already won. Elevation is not an automatic pass to comfort. It's a ticket to greater responsibility, greater influence, and yes, greater battles. As you rise, you're entering new territory, and every territory comes with a fight. But here's the good news. God never calls you to a battle without equipping you for it. The higher you go, the more God increases your capacity to stand. The more you rise, the more He strengthens your armor. The more the enemy tries to throw at you, the more grace God gives you to endure. But it's a fight, and it's not a fight that's always visible to the world. The higher you go, the more battles you'll face behind the scene. It's the battle of self-doubt, the battle of fear, the battle of discouragement, the battle of pressure, the battle of spiritual fatigue. It's the battle of wrestling with your own limitations, of pushing through when every part of you wants to quit, of trusting when you can't see the outcome. It's the fight that happens in the quiet moments, in the nights when you're alone with your thoughts, in the moments when you feel like giving up. It's the fight to remain faithful, to keep believing, to keep pressing forward when everything seems to be falling apart around you. And here's the truth. Sometimes the fight gets harder right before the breakthrough. You'll feel like you're about to give out, like you've been fighting and nothing is changing. But that's when you have to remind yourself that it's in the struggle that God is preparing you. It's in the fight that you are being made stronger. Every challenge is building you for the next level. Every setback is a setup for something greater. Every battle is an opportunity for you to see the hand of God moving in ways you never imagined. But the key is to keep fighting, not in your own strength, but in His. The Bible tells us that we are more than conquerors through Him who loved us. The victory is not in our power, it's in His. And the more you rely on Him, the more you allow Him to fight your battles for you, the more you will see His hand at work. You won't fight alone. He's with you in every battle, and He has already declared the victory over your life. The higher you go, the more the enemy will try to sow division, confusion, and discouragement. He will try to get you to second guess yourself, to question God's promises, to feel like you're not good enough or worthy of what God has for you. He will try to attack your identity, your purpose, and your faith. But you have to stand firm. You have to put on the whole armor of God: truth, righteousness, peace, faith, salvation, and the Word of God. And you have to remember that your fight is not against flesh and blood, but against powers, principalities, and spiritual forces in the heavenly realms. Your fight is not against people. It's against the forces of darkness trying to steal your joy, your peace, and your destiny. So when the battles come, don't be surprised. Don't be discouraged, and don't be afraid. God has equipped you for this moment. The higher you go, the more you will see His power at work in you. The more you fight, the more you will experience His strength, His grace, and His provision. And when the battle is over, when the enemy has been defeated, when you've come through the struggle, you will look back and see how God was with you every step of the way. Your victory will not just be a testimony of what you overcame, but a testimony of who God is. You'll know that the higher you went, the stronger you became, and that the fight was never just for you, it was for the generations to come. Because every time you stand and fight, you are not just fighting for yourself, you are fighting for the legacy God has called you to leave. And when you finally reach the top, when you stand in the place God has called you to, you'll look around and see that it was all worth it. The fight, the struggle, the battles, they were all worth it, because you didn't just make it to the top. You made it there stronger, wiser, and more in tune with the power of God than ever before. And that is the kind of victory that cannot be taken from you. God is preparing you for something bigger than you can imagine. When you're walking through life, often it's easy to focus on the immediate struggle, the circumstances that feel like they're weighing you down. You're looking at the challenges, the setbacks, the unanswered prayers, and you wonder why things aren't progressing the way you had hoped. You wonder if God is really working in your life, or if you're just stuck. But what if I told you that the struggle, the waiting, the uncertainty, everything that feels like it's holding you back is actually preparation? What if I told you that God is using every moment, every difficulty, every detour to prepare you for something far greater than you can imagine? We often think that when God is preparing us for something bigger, it means He's going to open up the doors of opportunity immediately. We expect to step into greatness overnight. We expect the moment we receive His promise, everything will change. But God doesn't work in the ways we expect. His preparation often feels like frustration. It often looks like closed doors, unanswered prayers, and periods of waiting where nothing seems to be happening. But in the waiting, God is working. He's working on your heart, He's working on your character. He's refining your patience. He's building your resilience. He's teaching you how to trust him when everything looks uncertain. And this is not just about you. God is preparing you for a purpose that is bigger than you can imagine, a purpose that will require everything he's building in you. He's not just preparing you for the next step. He's preparing you for the journey ahead, for the impact you will make, for the legacy you will leave. The reason it feels like you're not moving forward sometimes is because God is ensuring you're ready for what's next. He's not going to give you something you're not prepared to steward. He's not going to take you to a place where you're going to be crushed under the weight of the blessing because you haven't been developed enough to carry it. God wants you to grow into the person who can handle the next level. And that growth doesn't always happen in comfortable places. Sometimes it happens in the midst of uncertainty. It happens when you're on your knees praying for answers. Even when you can't see the way forward. It happens when you feel alone, yet God is closest to you. Every rejection, every delay, every moment you feel like you've been overlooked, these are not signs that you are forgotten. There are signs that God is preparing you. These moments are shaping you into the person who will handle the success, the fame, the influence, the responsibility he has planned for you. And he's not doing it to harm you. He's doing it to help you. He's preparing you to be a good steward of everything he's going to give you. Because when you get to the place of elevation, you'll look back and realize that all the pain, all the confusion, all the waiting was not just a test, it was a training ground. God is not limited by time, by circumstances, or by the limitations that we face. His perspective is eternal. He sees the beginning from the end. He knows what you need and when you need it. He knows exactly what will build you and shape you into the person who can step into his promises with full confidence, fully prepared. So, when you look at your current situation, don't see it as a dead end. See it as a stepping stone. See it as God making room for something bigger. See it as God expanding your capacity for greatness. You are not being overlooked. You are being prepared. God is opening doors for you, but he's also teaching you how to walk through them. He's giving you strength, wisdom, patience, and discernment so that when you step into your future, you will be able to handle the weight of it. You will be able to carry the blessings, but also bear the responsibility. And when you step into what he has for you, it won't feel too big for you. It will feel like you were made for it. Because in every season, God has been working behind the scenes, refining you, equipping you, and positioning you for what's to come. It's easy to get discouraged when you feel stuck or stagnant. It's easy to question whether God is really working on your behalf. But when you start to understand that he is preparing you for something bigger, you can shift your perspective. You can look at your struggles as opportunities for growth. You can see your delays as divine timing. You can trust that what God is doing now in this moment is setting you up for something far greater than you ever imagined. And when the time comes, when you walk into your purpose, into your destiny, you will realize that God had a perfect plan all along. The waiting, the challenges, the heartaches, they were all part of his plan to make you ready. Because what's ahead of you is far greater than what you left behind. You are not just moving toward a bigger blessing, you are moving toward a bigger purpose. And God is with you every step of the way, preparing you, strengthening you, and leading you to the life he has promised you.